Welcome back. Do a little bit different video today. We're going to take a blast to the past. I'm here in the beautiful Pacific Northwest. You can see the weather is amazing. I'm going to show you one of my childhood favorites, the Daisy Powerline 880. I went through a lot of BB and pellet guns when I was a little kid. I would save my allowance and the Cabela's catalog would come out, or the Gander Mountain catalog would come out, and I'd flip through there and I would dream for days about all the cool BB guns in there. We were always wanting the most powerful and all these sorts of things, or something that kind of looked like an M16. Or I've had a lot of cheap budget, whatever you want to call them, BB guns that I went through from about the age of 8 to maybe the age of 14, and then I got into rimfire stuff. But I've always just kind of, plinked in the backyard. My mom has quite the extensive flower gardens. You can see all of her trinkets and gnomes and all this garbage that she spends money on behind me. She likes it, so she can spend money on it. There's lots of slugs here and snails, and mostly slugs. But Mom always kept me in the BBs, we'll say. She always used to buy me tons of BBs because I would go out in the yard and I would shoot slugs, mostly at point blank range, just to see how much we could splatter them. And so she would buy me practically endless BBs. Didn't really shoot so many pellets, but lots and lots of BBs. Just bulk pack, in the milk carton, Crossman, and sometimes I would get the little tubes of the Daisy silver ones. So that's what I'm actually shooting today, is the Daisy silver ones. And then I have a vintage, at least back to about 2004, so basically 20-year-old tin of Crossman Premiers in pointed. I still have some of those. I did shoot some CO2 pistols a little bit when I was training with pistols, but they were just not realistic enough back then to be of any real benefit outside of just kind of pointing them around in the house. But the 880 was always one of my favorites. It was very easy to pump. You could pump it extremely fast, and it was about 800 feet per second. That's pretty fast for a BB gun back in those days. A lot of them were still around, the 400s and 500s back then. So this thing was high power. What's funny is I have shot it today. It's never had an optic on it. I never used optics ever in my life. I didn't like them, didn't want them. I've always been an open sight guy. I hunted deer with peep sights. I hunted deer with shotguns with a BB on the front. I've always been kind of a point and shoot sort of guy. Optics are brand new to me now with this new high-powered PCP stuff that I've been doing. So I'm not an optics guy whatsoever. But I'm shooting out here at basically 40 yards at a little popper that I bought at the sporting goods store. So I put this little 3x9 leaper scope that used to actually be on my SKS. I put it on this so that I could punch some BBs out there. But yeah, the 880, 800 feet per second. Maybe that's what the 880 part was originally meaning. Who knows? But model 880. The only problem is you can see the stock wiggles. All of the guns with plastic stocks back then, it didn't matter the manufacturer, the stocks would break. And as a little kid, you're always looking for leverage, so you would grab them right here and you would pump them and pumping them, and you're not strong enough to really get a good straight angle on them, so they would eventually crack out and the stocks would break off. So can't tell you how many stocks I've broken off of these things, probably 5. And then you just had to get a new gun for whatever, $55 or something, which seemed like $1 million back then when you're getting $1 allowance a week, or you mowing the lawn or something, to save your money up. It took you forever, $1 a week, and you still couldn't buy one of these after a year. So we ended up learning to hold them where the scope is now and pump them from there so we didn't break the stock. But this one has at least one of the little things inside there that's broken, and I would love to have a better one. I was always jealous of my friend Paul because he was the first one to get an 880, and his had a metal cocking handle. And I can't remember if mine had a metal cocking handle or not, but I think his had a metal receiver too. And so he was just the coolest because he had the metal receiver one. I think I might have had one with a metal cocking handle, but I've never had one with a metal receiver. First gun, and I was going to show it for this video as I wanted to make it work, was the Crossman 2200. My first pellet gun, I went from a Daisy Red Ryder to a Crossman 2200, which was their most powerful, cheap 22 caliber at the time. Funny story, 22 caliber pellets were, you know, they came in those little plastic box things, and they were only, I don't know, maybe 250 per box. I would shoot so many slugs that I would run out of them all the time. And Mom wasn't getting me as many pellets as she was BBs. The BBs came in 1,500 bulk packs, milk cartons, you know. So I had a pet rabbit, and I figured out as a whatever 10-year-old that you could put rabbit food into a 22 caliber pellet gun. It's probably 21 caliber. It's not quite the right diameter, but it's almost the right diameter. And so I would take a bag full of rabbit food with me, and I would go out with my friends, and all we were doing was shooting water skippers and slugs most of the time. My parents didn't want me to shoot birds. They kind of told me not to, and my dad always used to tell me if I shot it, I had to eat it. So I wasn't going to be eating robins and Tweety birds and stuff like that. They aren't really pest birds anyway. They're native birds, so there was no reason to shoot them. So I didn't shoot them, didn't need to have real accurate stuff. I just needed to shoot basically point blank range at slugs and stuff like that. So I learned to use rabbit food, which shoots about 8 feet accurately, but it was fine to shoot water skippers and stuff in the creek. And so I would just shoot handfuls of rabbit food, and we would go out, and I would save pellets if I wanted to take a long shot, which was probably, I don't know, 20 yards back then. I don't have cameras downrange to shoot. I don't have scope cams. I just got this, you know, POS little leaper scope 3x9 on here. I was watching Indiana Air Guns shoot one of these things a few weeks back, probably maybe a month back. I don't know, I work too much. I was gonna tell him I learned how to do these as a shotgun when I was a little kid. So if you wanted to shoot something up in the tree, there was some sort of a crow or something that you wanted to shoot at, you can pull the cocking thing back, and it's easier if the scope's not on, but you push the BB forward, you hold your finger there, and you keep cocking back, and it keeps loading BBs into the barrel. And you can probably put about 5 or so in there, and then give this thing, you know, 10 pumps, which feels like it needs some oil in it out here in the moisture. And then when you fire it, it's going to fire a whole string of BBs into a shotgun pattern. So I just shot that about 52 yards, and it punched a pattern out like that. So it was pretty fun to do that. And I don't know how many people learn to do that, but when I was a little kid, I would do that. You just cock it, and you're like, oh yeah, there's something in the tree. I want to shoot at that shit duck. And you would just keep loading BBs into there, and then make sure you're shooting max air load, right? And it made a different kind of sound, but it shoots a shotgun pattern. That's one cool thing about these little 880s that we used to shoot. They don't really hold very many. The Red Ryder holds a gazillion, and these didn't, so we would always have to carry more BBs with us because we would shoot hundreds to thousands a day sometimes. But these little 880s were good guns. I thought they stopped making them, but I just saw one online. They were, I don't know, they're 53 bucks or something still. So if you want a little thing you can just stick by the front door and pop a squirrel or something out your door. I was shooting it with these pointed pellets and looking through the scope, shooting at the popper. It wasn't very accurate unless I was using about 8 pumps. So I don't know what that is, probably 600 feet per second or something. About 4 pumps it'll shoot the BBs accurate. So who knows what that is? It's probably 300 and some feet per second. After that, you start seeing them hook wildly out and about. And I saw some raccoons in the yard last night, so maybe one's gonna get a pointed pellet to the brain tonight. We'll see. That is my Powerline 880, one of my favorites, if not my favorite air rifle from my childhood that I could afford with my yearly savings. Thanks for tuning in. Catch you in the next video.